Already set up? Have you started? Oh, you've started recording? Alright.
Do you want to, you can grab a seat as well, don't be standing around.
Hello, so I've got Shaun here with me, and it was a bit of a spur of the moment thing the other day, and he just popped into my head because he's a fellow Jersey-Bali, and I started on this channel, on this mental health journey, I guess, and I thought it could be a potentially cool conversation to have with him, because he grew up in the same place and he spent a lot of time in Bali, as have I, so I thought it would be interesting to discuss it. So yeah, let's have a conversation and see what goes. Shaun, say something.
Say something. Yeah, so I guess I've been in Bali for a year and a half now. The first time I came over was just before the pandemic, actually.
Yeah.
And I was actually meant to be heading out to Australia for my second year, and then a week before I was meant to leave, decided I don't want to go to Australia, but I told my clients I was leaving, so I was like, I need to go somewhere. Came to Bali, and I was like, love it here, need to come back. And then pandemic hit, and then 2 years was a bit of a shit show. And I was trying to get back the whole time, and then as soon as the borders opened here, I was straight back out. Not with an intention to stay, like I still had some ties back home. But yeah, I think I spent like 2 weeks out here, and I was like, yeah, I'm moving here, I'm not going home.
Yeah.
As much as I love Jersey, it just, yeah, it didn't feel like a place I was really, maybe not settled is not the right word, but just not fully like fulfilled. As much as I love it there.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. So can you think of a couple of things to touch on that you think's set up a lot better here than in Jersey? Is there anything that just springs to mind?
Well, I can tell you what I love about Bali, like what really pulled me in, and then some of the things that I don't necessarily love about Jersey. Yeah, I think the biggest thing about Bali is the people. Like, the locals are just the friendliest people in the world.
Yeah.
That's one of the most amazing things about Bali. We talk about the weather, like it's just warm here. I love being in the sun. I used to hate the winters back home. It's just they were long, dark, cold. Not for me. So yeah, there's that.
Well, just before you carry on, sorry to interrupt, but that's a big subject for me, the sun. So I've talked about it a little bit in a couple of prior videos, but I think it's such a huge positive influence on my mental health, just to be in the sun. And yeah, compared to Jersey, I notice a huge difference. There's obviously other stuff, and we're going to probably talk about that going forward. But to just quickly touch on the sun, have you noticed the big change just having the sun here rather than in Jersey?
Yeah, I mean, I always used to talk about how seasonal Jersey is. I mean, Bali's has like a similar sort of daytime schedule all year round, so it's like 6 a.m. sunrise, 6 p.m. sunset, and even in the wet season it's sunny, so like it could be pissing down for like the whole day, but you still get a couple of hours solid sunlight. Whereas back home, in the middle of winter, like it doesn't really get light till 9 a.m. and then by 5 p.m. it's almost pitch black again, and probably cloudy throughout the whole day if it's not raining. So you can go weeks without any sunlight at all. But yeah, I talk about it a lot. It was only when I was walking on the beach yesterday I thought, oh, I want to share something on my page, and I was just talking about how much, especially early morning sunlight, can just help you sleep at night. gives you energy and focus throughout the day. It just puts you in a better mood. But it's huge. It's absolutely huge. Yeah, like I think a lot of people kind of suffer from like seasonal affective disorder or sad disorder back home, and it's such an essential for me.
I think it's an interesting thing about, because I think, at least I can only, when we're talking here, I can only speak from my perspective, but sometimes when I was back home, maybe things were going wrong and I was, you know, struggling and stuff, it wouldn't have sprung to mind when I was there. So it's a good perspective to have, I think. Now looking back, and other people could relate to it as well if they're struggling in Jersey. It's like you've got stuff to deal with that sometimes outside your control. When you're in Jersey, if the weather's bad, there's nothing you can do, but it can have a big effect on your mental health.
Mm.
So I think that's a big positive about being here. I wanted to just to talk about the sun, and you said about in the morning. What do you have like a morning routine that you consider like really beneficial for your mental health?
Yeah,
And if so, what are the couple of things that you do?
Yeah, so I personally like getting out of bed early, but some people don't. That's not really essential. But I'll try and get like sunlight as early as possible. Andrew Huberman talks about it a lot, just about the benefits. Yeah, so I'll try and get 10 minutes of sunlight as early as possible, and then as much sunlight throughout the day. Like I'll try and get an hour's walking. But something else I love doing is ice baths. If you don't have access to an ice bath, you can have a cold shower, especially in Jersey. Like,
Well, the sea's cold in Jersey, isn't it?
even better. Yeah, I was doing that when I was back.
Yeah, I was in were you at Half Day Park?
Yeah.
I was Half Day Park as well when I was back for a few months last year. It's good.
It is, yeah. Got to be careful in the winter actually as well, slipping with the seaweed.
Yeah, you've got to be a bit careful on the steps.
But yeah, I was saying that I went back this year, and I was back for 4 months, and truth be told, I wasn't in the best place mentally. I had some like financial problems going on, and like just broke up with my girlfriend at the time. So I just became really militant and disciplined with like my morning routine and just like looking after my body, because it's just so closely linked to your mental health. And I was really committed to making sure I was getting up early, like going for a walk, getting in the sea, getting as much sunlight as possible. But yeah, those two things, like sunlight and cold exposure, whether it's an ice bath, whether it's getting in the sea, you can just turn your shower to as cold as it can go. You know, for a lot of people, that's enough. Just doing that for a minute, and it sucks. Like it's a bit of a shock, but it's always so worth it. Like for me, that's one of my favorite things to do if I'm just feeling like stressed. Yeah, 1 or 2 minutes in an ice bath, you come out, always feels so much better.
Yeah.
So like particularly when I feel like life's a bit chaotic, or like I'm just more stressed and not quite feeling myself, I'll make sure that I dive into a morning routine even more so. Yeah, because I think 80% of the time, you know, talk about sun. I talk a lot about sort of diet, exercise, sleep. If you look after those fundamental pillars, most of the time you're going to be alright, you know, or at least like your mental health is definitely going to improve. It's not going to solve everything for sure, like people have stuff going on, but for me, I'm always very, very dedicated to doing that because it just makes me feel good. You know? Yeah, so really just and drinking water when I first wake up. I'm terrible at drinking water. I never stay hydrated, so that's something I do. So water, sunlight if I can, and then ice baths.
Do you drink plain water though?
From in Bali, I get the little Pocari sweats.
Okay,
it's
yeah.
kind of like the little mineral waters for people watching at home. But
well, it mixed with like electrolytes, right? Pocari
Yeah.
sweats, like bit sugary and salty, right?
yeah,
I think they're quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in this climate. But
Yeah.
back home, usually just have like a mulligan and some water or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, and that's pretty much it. I do try. I'm not very good at this, but I try and avoid just like going straight on my phone because I work online and I spend a lot of time on my phone, which I'm trying to work on. But I try and avoid doing that. And if I can just go and sit outside with the sun on my face, that's like an ideal start. And I can just feel like it gives me a bit of space to get myself in the right frame of mind before sitting on social media and just consuming like stupid content, which just like has such an influence on you, especially in the mornings. It's like I think you're still kind of waking up, you're still a bit more sensitive to things. So yeah, it's my morning routine. I'm not going to say I stick to it every single day, but I'd say 4 or 5 times a week. I can definitely notice a difference in my mood and how I'm feeling if I'm not as committed to it. How about you? What's your morning routine?
My morning routine, well, I'm getting better and better at it. The last couple of years, I think I've really started to dial in. With the training, I've been really consistent. With the timing, I haven't been as consistent, but that's getting better. But yeah, I get the sunlight. You talked about it. Yeah, I jump on the bike with the shirt. Yeah, with the shirt off. Wear the helmet, of course.
On the motorbike?
Yeah, on the motorbike. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like to get my son. I listen to Huberman as well.
He's great.
Yeah. So and then I tend to head to the gym, and I never really have a plan about the order I'm going to do things. It depends, like, I guess what I feel on the day. But I lift weights, and I do my boxing, and I do ice and sauna. And I said in other videos as well, if there's only one thing I could do for my health, I think I'd do the ice and the sauna. I know it's obviously all beneficial, but for me, it's the ice in particular that I get the most benefit. So yeah, 8 or 9 in the morning, I'll have done a gym session, whether it be weights or boxing, and then I'll get in the ice. And I know I've watched some stuff because I like to build muscle, and I've watched some Huberman stuff saying that if that's your goal to build muscle, then you shouldn't really ice straight after. I think you should leave about a 4-hour window before you ice. But I think for me, it's just I'm more focused on my mental health. So sometimes I think to myself, no, I'm going to leave it, but then it's more important for me to go into the ice. So it's secondary, really, building muscle. It's more of a priority to jump into the ice.
I do the same thing because I've also read that ice baths straight after strength training can negate some of the effects.
Yeah.
But I think unless you're a professional athlete.
Yeah, pro bodybuilder or something like that.
Yeah. I'll not always. In fact, quite rarely, I'll get straight into the ice bath without having done anything.
Yeah.
Which just feels so much harder in the morning because I think your body temperature's cooler. You know, after a workout, you're kind of warm and you're a bit more likely to get in.
Yeah.
But yeah, sauna in this climate, I don't really use the sauna that much. I like to use the sauna or the steamer on recovery days. So I'll get in the ice bath, sauna, back in the ice bath, do like 2 rounds of that. But I always feel unreal after that. Like I just feel in such good mood, I can't even explain it. Yeah, like you said, if I could pick one thing for my health, it would be like hot and cold exposure. Again, I'm going to talk about Andrew Huberman a lot because I get a lot of my, I suppose, like research from him. But yeah, he talks about how good saunas are for your cardiovascular health as well. Not that I'm looking to do it for that. It's more, you know, because it just makes me feel good. Yeah, but I love it. Love all of it. Feels amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with all this, a couple of the things we've been talking about, how do you think it compares to like here to Jersey, like the lifestyle that we're talking about, like waking up early, having a morning routine, maybe training, ice bath. For me, anyway, I'm going to obviously ask you what you think, but I think it's so much better set up here to live that kind of lifestyle. You might have a different opinion, but it was like, it's like I see people here, and that's kind of the lifestyle for like a lot of people here, and it's so much easier, I think, when you're surrounded by these type of people that they're doing it. It's easier for you to do it as well. And I remember the kind of thing I do now, and I think to myself, it's so much harder. I used to find it so much harder to do this type of thing in Jersey because of my environment. I know maybe that's a bad excuse, and if I'm really dialed in and stuff, then you can do it in Jersey as well. But I find it so much easier here to live that lifestyle. But I know some people in Jersey do it, and it makes me like respect them, like, because like with the cold weather and like the drink culture and like I think the mentality of people there, I think it's so easy to like not look after yourself and have bad habits and yeah, and so I think of a few people that do it back home, and I think to myself now, after living here for such a long time, it's like big respect like to people that can stick to the routine and like do their own thing and be healthy in Jersey, because I think, you know, it's really set up difficult for people in Jersey unless you're like of a like really disciplined mentality.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, I think we're all products of our environment to a degree. I mean, like, I've always been really health conscious, and I've also used to drink quite a lot back home as well. But I think that's one of the big things. It's like the drinking culture in the UK, especially in Jersey. It's like you could say there's nothing else to do, and like to a degree, I think that's true. It's like it kind of gets a bit boring, and how people socialise is they'll go out drinking, and then that kind of is the opposite. It's very contradicting. If you're going out drinking, you're going to have a hard time, you know, waking up early, going to the gym, taking care of your health. You can certainly do both, but like, you know, you end up burning the candle at both ends. Yeah, Bali, I think it's just brilliant. There's so many facilities here, and you know, like gyms everywhere. Everywhere's got healthy food, and it's like everyone is just health conscious here. Like whether it be weightlifting, boxing, you know, like yoga, nutrition, whatever it is, everyone just seems to be really focused on it here. And there's a far smaller drinking culture. Like the amount of times I'll go out for a meal and everyone at the table's just like, oh, I'm going to have water this evening, and it's a weekend and everyone's out for a meal, and it's like, that would never happen back home.
No.
It just doesn't happen, you know.
Definitely not.
And if you do, you're usually the only one, and then everyone presses you to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even when I went back recently, I felt, I mean, there was just more temptations. Like, oh, old friends were saying, oh, come out for a drink, you know, when it's either an option between doing that or kind of just like, feels like just chilling out and sitting at home. That's kind of felt like the options, where I think here, especially in Canggu, there's just so much more to do. Yeah, I think that's a big part to play. But the environment here really does serve people if they're like looking to get healthy. I had a friend who's from Jersey, and she's coming back, but she spent about a year here. She says the same thing. She was really worried about going back to Jersey because of the culture, the drinking culture, the like
Temptations.
yeah, and she lost so much weight when she was here. Like, I'm talking about 4 or 5 stone. She lost loads of weight, and she just said that there was absolutely no way I would have done this back home. You know, there was people around me that were just bad influences, and people don't mean any harm by it. It's just like people are doing what they want to do. Yeah, because it's such a small place, you're always kind of bumping into people that you're just so enmeshed in these habits. Yeah, I think, well, maybe it's not just Bali, it's just moving away in general, having the opportunity to like start again, I think is great for a lot of people. And a lot of people in Jersey have never really been away. You know, people will often go away to university, come back, same old script.
So if you had to give a bit of advice, let's say, if someone was if someone was listening and they were like caught up in a lot of drinking and maybe mixing with maybe the wrong crowd or whatever, but wanted to be a bit more healthier and wanted to focus on their fitness and stuff, but it's kind of a trap in Jersey a little bit. Maybe I know I can only, again, I'm repeating myself, but speak from my experience. You almost feel a bit stuck, a bit trapped. But like you've done it, and you're in the on the party scene and stuff, and you're here in Bali, and you're living a healthy lifestyle. Maybe someone's just recovered from a heavy weekend or whatever, and they're thinking, fucking hell, done this for how many ever weekends? Sorry, like the last how many weekends I can't even remember. The last time I didn't do something like this, and they kind of wanted to break out. What would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think people kind of convince themselves that, oh, you know, partying's fun. It's like, and it is to a degree. But I think a lot of people take it to the extremes and they're not truly happy with that. And I think one bit of advice, and this is something that's become very present for me, is just like who you surround yourself with. A lot of my friends are also really health conscious. You know, they've got responsibilities with like their business or whatever, and they just know how much it takes out of them, like emotionally going out drinking, and then financially as well. So yeah, I think just associating yourself, or even just cutting out people who are just a bad influence. Like I always say, if your only thing in common with certain people is alcohol, if that's the only time you're spending any time with them, like that's not a real friendship. Like you should be able to have conversations about anything other than alcohol, or it shouldn't have to be based around alcohol. Like you should be able to go for a walk, go for a coffee, go to the gym, anything. But like if you're only surrounding yourself with people that always have to drink, they're always going to pull you in that direction. And yeah, I think like even people who are super disciplined, like I'd say I'm pretty disciplined, but I certainly try and set myself up to succeed rather than set myself up to fail. When, yeah, if all your friends are like heavy drinkers and everything that they do is party and takes you away from the things that you want to be doing, you're going to make it a lot harder for yourself. So, yeah, I think just surround yourself with the right people is probably the best bit of practical advice. And yeah, just like, it's hard just to cut, from what I've learned about habits, it's hard just to cut something out, because you kind of just leave a void. You know, like, if you're partying Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, you're in the pub Sunday afternoon, it's a huge part of your life that you're spending doing something, and you can't just take that out because you're left with this void. You have to replace it with something. So, yeah, maybe signing up to something that's going to pull you in the other direction, like sign up for a marathon, sign up for a walk, sign up for the gym, sign up for white collar boxing, whatever it is. and you've given yourself a reason to make that sacrifice, rather than, you know, having that extra couple of beers, staying up late at night, eating junk food. You'll say no to it because, like, I have a reason to wake up early, and it makes it far easier to pull yourself in that direction and to create a positive habit. Yeah, I think that's the best bit of advice I can give.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Yeah, I think that's good advice. Next thing I wanted to talk about was like the feeling of freedom you get here. And I'll touch briefly my experience with Jersey. It's like there's taxes to be paid and car insurance to be paid, and there's always some bill coming through the door. And like I think it made me stressful anyway. Or like if you wanted to rent a house, you needed to do this and jump through this hoop and do this, and then if you wanted a car, you need the test, and then the tax, the insurance, and it's like, to me it was like overwhelming, and it was like, I used to see my parents like get letters and file them in big filing cabinets of all these paperwork that they had to reply to and stuff, and I just used to think, what the fuck, like? And then, and now here, it's like, if I want to rent somewhere, I go to they don't ask any questions. It's like fantastic. And like, if I want to rent a bike, I go to the bike place, hand them my passport or whatever, and they don't ask any questions, and I just pay them every month. I mean, do you know what I'm trying to get at here? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
It takes so much stress away living here. Do you want to comment on what you think about that as well?
I totally agree. There's just so much less stress, especially like financial pressure. I think specifically Jersey, the cost of living is so high, and you're just being charged for everything. I think like even just to get by, you have to be really earning like a good amount of money, and yeah, there's so many processes and procedures, and like there just seems to be a lot of rules, which in a lot of senses is great, but
yeah, I was going to say, it's pros and cons, isn't it? So obviously we've talked about a few pros, like good things about being here, but there's obviously some cons as well, right? Which I think we'll talk about as well, because I'll let you carry on there.
Yeah, no, I think like Bali and Canggu can feel chaotic. It's like the traffic's chaotic, and I think if things go wrong here, they can go really wrong, because maybe like the infrastructure's not here, the police aren't reliable.
If you get hurt and you have to rely on hospitals that are not really too well equipped and that are super expensive as well. If you have a crash or whatever, and I don't know, let's say break an arm or something, you're not in the best hands, and it's going to cost you a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's one of the things. Obviously, if you do plan on coming here, insurance is a good thing, obviously, to get.
For sure. Yeah, I think from what I gather, most people, just if they have any trouble, it's like either they've had something lost or stolen, or they've had an accident on the bike. So like.
Yeah, because that's just to touch on that briefly. Yeah, the traffic and the craziness on the roads, especially at night around Canggu Samyak area, because everyone's drinking and everyone's driving.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people are,
common.
and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I know the mentality, at least this is mentality for me, is that no, I'm really good on the bike and I'm in control and I'll be fine. But I've seen some crazy stuff happening here, and it is, a lot of the time, it's out of your control. Like the drunk people, it doesn't matter how good I am at driving my bike.
Yeah.
I could still get hurt and someone could crash into me, so that's something to think about as well.
for sure. I think one of the things I like least about being here is like how stressful it is being on the roads. My girlfriend had, well, she was pulled off her bike actually. This was just after the pandemic, and I think there was a few people that were just robbing a lot of the tourists. And she's like clearly white, blonde hair, like a target. She's like tiny. So it was late at night. She got pulled off her bike, injured herself, and then there was another time when it was raining. She came on the bike as well. So it was like that's a very real problem. And I've had a bunch of close calls. I'm a very cautious driver. Like never had a serious crash on a motorbike or car in my life. Touch wood. But here it's like you have to be so hyper aware all the time because people just don't respect. It's almost lawless, you know. Like everyone will either leave their indicator on, won't indicate. They'll be overtaken on like blind corners. There's dogs running in the road. Like it's just carnage. You can drive 5 minutes to Changi. It feels like you drive half an hour.
I want to add something there quickly. It's interesting that when you said about that, the one word sprang to mind is balance. That it's been such a factor in many areas of my life, and maybe we can talk about that next. But it sprung to mind because I still think you have to be balanced though, because you can't be too cautious because that puts you in danger as well. I just like, I guess anything, as I say, we can talk about that. But like if you're too cautious and too scared and stuff,
Yeah.
that's also bad as well. So you kind of, on the road, you've got to have the confidence about you as well. As you say, hyper alert.
Yeah.
And it's scary, and which it is. But you've got to get involved, and you've got to be confident as well.
For sure.
Because I've seen people get into accidents and get into trouble by being too cautious. So I think that's interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly not the place to learn how to ride a bike.
No, definitely not.
I mean, I think we come from Jersey, most people.
It's a good place to learn Jersey, actually, isn't it? Because
Loads of little lanes, peaceful lanes, you know, and most people will ride a bike because it's just pretty practical. So like, we already had that practice and skill set coming here, but I know people that have never ridden a bike before and they're trying to learn on the roads here. Good luck. Yeah, I mean, other than it's definitely a con, I think, overall. But you can jump on your bike in swim shorts. You could get away with not wearing a helmet. Not that I'm advocating that, but if you're driving 2 minutes up the road, you know you've got the wind in your face, the sun on your back, and the police aren't there to police it. You know, whereas back home it's like you go 2 miles per hour above the speed limit on the wrong road. It's the honorary police that are like on your case. You get £200 fine, which goes back to what we were saying about like financial pressures. So you can't always have one without the other. Jersey seems super safe overall, much more peaceful. Other than the roads. I'm trying to think what other things are cons.
Cleanliness. It's a bit like coming from Jersey. I mean, I remember when I went back home last year, and my parents picked me up from the airport, and my mum picked me up from the airport, and I remember driving back home, and it was almost like, it was surreal almost, that I couldn't see any like bit of dirt, or I was actually looking for like a plastic wrapper or something. It didn't seem real, and then it reminded me of actually how crazy clean Jersey is and how like well looked after everything is, like compared to here, because like it's super like I was going to like say dirty, but I feel bad because I love Bali and I don't want to like badmouth Bali, but it's like they do have a bit of a like a cleaning problem, or like the roads and stuff are dirty. If you go on the beaches and stuff, they're nice beaches, but there's plastic all over the beaches. I mean, I guess that's another subject to talk about, why there's so much plastic here, but I guess we can talk about that another time or something. But
yeah, I think just like the infrastructure's not quite here. So there's a huge waste problem in Indonesia.
Yeah.
there's kind of a bit of a smell that I felt like I had to adjust to, and just I think it can be overwhelming. I know people that have come to Bali and they've done a bit of traveling and they're just like,
Yeah, not for me or something.
yeah, they're like, hate it.
Yeah, I get that as well. It's interesting because it doesn't really bother me because I think because we're talking about pros and cons. For me, the pros far outweigh the cons, and so I think maybe if it was closer and there was a lot more cons, then it would maybe affect me more. But it doesn't seem to bother me.
Yeah.
But I can see how it would, especially people coming from Jersey as well that are used to like nice, tidy, clean places and streets.
Yeah, it's very
and it's
orderly
nice.
and safe. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you come here and there's a lot of shit everywhere, and so I can see how it could bother people.
Yeah, Jersey's super clean, safe, and comfortable, but like it's almost
Too much.
comfortable.
Yeah,
like
I probably agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a little bit of.
I know some people would like be going, no, I love my Jersey and like I love the way it's how clean it is. I don't want a speck of dust on the street, or whatever. I guess that's fine. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, for sure. I mean, I love Jersey. Jersey will always be my home. I think one of the biggest reasons why I don't actually want to live there is like just because it's dark and the winters are so long and there's not enough sunshine. I think that's one of the big reasons. And then like affordability as well. So for me, yeah, the pros of Bali far outweigh the cons. You know, if it's a little bit of dirt here and there, like you'll get the odd virus here. I feel like there's obviously Bali belly, which everyone will get when they first get here. I had a couple of viruses, I think, from who knows what it was from. Maybe it was from like something dodgy that I ate, or being in a gym with loads of people with all the humidity, and I think because there's so many tourists that come here as well, there's just like different viruses coming from all over the world, whereas I just never really felt like I had that in Jersey whatsoever. You can drink tap water in Jersey, which
yeah,
you can't do
can't
here.
do that here.
Yeah. That was something I was weirdly looking forward to, going back home. Just drinking tap water. But yeah, it's not for everyone. It's definitely not for everyone. But yeah, for me, like I can see myself settling here. I think at least for the next couple of years, for sure. It's getting much more expensive. It's always going to be super busy here, which I think is also overwhelming. Like just everywhere you go, there's loads of people. Even if you go down to the beach, it's very difficult to find peace here, like a peaceful spot. Whereas, yeah, if I wanted to just have a bit of peace and quiet, I could just walk 5 minutes to, like it was the Livery, which was right next to my mum's house. I could walk for 50 minutes and not see anyone, and it would just be me and the nature. So, in that sense, there's a lot more peace and quiet there. But
it depends where you live here though, because obviously Canggu and Seminyak,
yeah,
I guess a lot of people are drawn to here because there's a lot going on. It's vibrant. There's nightlife and there's lots going on. But there are quieter places as well. So it depends where you want to live and the type of lifestyle you want to have when you come here.
Yeah. I mean, like Canggu's probably the busiest place in, well, Canggu, Seminyak, busiest sort of areas in Bali. Like Canggu's pretty small for what it is. Like you don't really have to go very far to go from one side to the other. There's just so much going on here. There's like a million different gyms, a million different cafes.
Yeah.
There's really good nightlife. There's loads of like cool, quirky events that I would never have.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that about one of the pros about being here as well compared to Jersey, like stuff going on and like I wanted to like talk about creativity as well because I just feel like there's so many creative people get drawn here for some reason, and there's lots going on, lots of different mentalities, and I just find that's one of the big pros about being here as well. Like in Jersey, I find that a lot of people are similar minded, and you find having similar conversations. and not a lot of diversity when it comes to that. But here, I find there's so many like difference of opinion, and you can have so many cool and interesting conversations with so many different types of people. So I think that's a huge pro to being here as well.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, the amount of interesting people that I've met here from all over the world, and just people doing interesting, innovative stuff. Like I've met people that are doing jobs and are in roles that I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
And it's just like a daily thing. You can meet someone from America, from Canada, from Brazil, from Indonesia, all over Europe. There's just such like diverse culture here, which is amazing. Like I absolutely love that. I feel like networking here is just way more fun. And that was one of the big things that I sort of grew to hate about Jersey. It just felt very samey. Most people that live there their whole lives. You know, there's not a huge amount of tourism, especially for like our age demographic. If you're sort of between 18 and 30, you kind of know most people in the islands. You know, like a few people I think come and go, but yeah, you have the same conversations. Like most people work in the finance sector, or you work in construction, and then there's like, you know, maybe retail or like the health and fitness industry. Like that kind of covers 95% of everyone in Jersey. So it's like most people work at 9 till 5, and they have very similar routines, similar aspirations, and that just kind of breeds for a bit of a boring environment. I think it just feels samey, and because it's so small as well, it's not like you can really go anywhere to change that. Like you book a flight to go to London, of course, but that's different.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to experience something different in Bali, an hour's drive you can go to Uluwatu, or an hour to Ubud, or they're only
It
really.
almost feels like a different place as well, a different country.
Yeah, and then
To me anyway, if I go to Ubud, I feel like I'm almost in a different country to Seminyak or Canggu.
Absolutely, and that's even such a small part of Bali. You know, like you go to like the west of the island or even further north, it's completely different. Like I went to Lombok and I was just in the middle of the jungle, up in the mountains. It was amazing.
Batu, I love Batu as well, like super cold and stuff.
Yeah, I've not actually done that yet.
Oh, you got to check it out. It's really good, yeah.
Well, there you go. Like that's one of the pros is that there's just so much more to do here.
Yeah.
Which I just got very bored of Jersey. You know, like I'll always love it, but it's.
Yeah, touching on that briefly, because you said it before, like I can't remember the exact words you used, but like I think you were kind of saying home is where the heart is, and Jersey will always be your home, and that's exactly the same for me. So, like, do you think what do you think? Well, I guess it's kind of, I don't want to move as political, but like, because I see myself going back to Jersey, I'd like to be a part of Jersey, but I'd love to see it like be better and be more stuff going on and like better for tourism like it used to be. But from your experience, do you think, what do you think we could do to like make Jersey better than it is?
Yeah, it's a good
at the
question.
minute, because I think it's really struggling.
Yeah, I mean, like you can take Fort Regent for example. Fort Regent was just like a bit of a hub for recreation. You know, there was like a bunch of different sports clubs. Like there was the gym up there, and everyone was talking about, oh, what else are they going to do with the space? And it's just like almost nothing's really been announced. And like I'm not even sure what the latest is, but it was like there was so much opportunity to build something exciting there. And they've just kind of let it die. And I feel like, it just doesn't seem to be a priority in Jersey to I don't know if it's, call it fun. You know, it just doesn't, it seems like there's not enough exciting things going on. And that's just one example. But I think that's kind of been a trend. It just seems like there's more and more houses being built. And like that just seems to be the only thing that's really being invested in. It's like property, which that's certainly not fun. You know, it's might be security, but well, I don't know. That's a big question. What would I like to change? Yeah, I don't think, to a degree, a lot of it can be changed. You know, I think Jersey's kind of set in its ways.
I think everything can be changed. That's why, because I remember, yeah, being told this all the time, like about the system and about Jersey and stuff. And maybe I'm wrong, but I always used to think, no, it's like, why can't we change it? Like, if enough people like us, young people from Jersey, that, you know, are a bit free thinking and want change and think Jersey can be a lot better than it is, why can't people like that get together and make a change and change things? I mean, again, it's obviously just my opinion, but it's like, just because Jersey's the way it's run at the minute by the people that run it, like, why can't we change that?
Yeah.
What, as far as I'm concerned, it's like the decisions and the way Jersey moves forward, the decision should be made by young people that like, maybe not me, but like people like us that have got a vision and that want to change things, and that, yeah, the mentality is Jersey's stuck in its ways, and that's the way it's been, and that's the way it's always going to be, and like the land's always going to get owned by the families that have owned the land for 300 years or whatever, and stuff. And I think bullshit. It's like, let's change it. Like, yeah, again, this is just my attitude and my mentality. Just because these laws are in place and this is the way things are at the minute, they were put in place by people, as far as I'm concerned, no more intelligent than us. And why can't we change them? But again, yeah, I think when I'm saying stuff like this, is that people that are involved in this type of stuff are probably like, it's such a naive view, and it's easy to say that. But like, I think once you're actually involved with trying to make that change, I think it's going to be hard, easier said than done. But I'm still positive. I still think it can be. Like, if enough people want to change it, I think it can be. And again, that might be a naive view, and Jersey might be a lost cause or whatever, because it's so ingrained in that type of stuff, and it might not be able to change. But I think it still can, because as you say, it's our home, and obviously you don't want to write off your home, do you? But,
yeah.
Well, I don't, anyway.
For sure. No, I agree with you. I think like having that attitude is essential. Like, if everyone adopted my attitude, which is like, set in its ways, it would never change.
Yeah.
It just would never change. But all it takes is a few people with the right attitude bang their heads together and come up with an idea, and for that idea to catch on, and then it can really start gaining some momentum, and then that's how change happens.
It takes a lot of people, I think, a lot of like-minded people that are really passionate about making a change in Jersey, because obviously I think, as you say, it's so ingrained, the system and stuff, that it's going to take a big push by a lot of people to actually make a big change.
Yeah, I suppose it's like getting clear on exactly what you want to change.
I guess, yeah, yeah.
And I know people talk a lot about mental health in Jersey as well. Like, I know it's become much more common to talk about like mental health.
Thanks for bringing the conversation back to mental health, by the way, on the mental health channel.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's something that people talk about a lot, and they're talking about more and more. And I think people are becoming more and more just like self-aware, and they're prioritising mental health and mental well-being more and more. And there seems to be more incentives as well, especially like from the government. Like, I think, and I'm seeing it within businesses as well. It's like they're putting a lot of money and time and effort into making sure people are happy within their job. And that's a great place to start. You know, there's lots of what's the right word? Just lost for the word here. Yeah, just it seems to be like incentives around people taking part in physical exercise and not feeling super pressured at work. That there seems to be like a shift there, at least with the businesses that I've like kind of communicated with. But yeah, like I said, it's if you want to change something, like you have to really apply yourself to that and just get clear on what it is that you want to do. Or you can move to Bali.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything? I think because I had a few things in mind. I think I've touched on most of those things. So unless you can think of anything else you want to talk about.
Nothing that springs to mind, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, yeah,
When
we've missed loads of stuff. But I think yeah, it's been good chatting to you, and I'm glad because a couple of days ago, because we organised this about a week ago now, I think, and I reached out to you about a week ago, and I said I thought it might be interesting to have the conversation. It was spur of the moment, and then a couple of days ago, I was thinking to myself like, what's the point? Why am I coming here? And I almost wrote to you and said like let's call a rain check on it. Something's come up. I was going to bullshit because nothing did come up, but I thought like what's the fucking point? But I'm glad I did because yeah, it's been a good chat, and thanks for accepting the chat, and hopefully some Jersey people or whoever is listened to it and maybe got something from it or got a different perspective about Bali and maybe about Jersey as well. Or yeah, so yeah, I guess that's the idea of some value to come with it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Like when you offered, more so when you said what you're talking about. Like I'm just a huge advocate of prioritizing yourself, your mental health, and you know some of the things we spoke about like sunlight exposure, ice baths, training, dieting, like all of those things just are absolutely essential if you're trying to look after yourself. Because your physical health and mental health are all just so closely linked, and that's like you know what I've been working in and with for the last 8 years now. So yeah, I'm happy to chat about it. It's been a good,
Cool,
good
great.
conversation.
Cheers, mate.
Nice one.
Nice one. Cheers. I think that was good, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, enjoyed how that went.
Yeah, sweet. What do you reckon? It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we started touching on politics, I was like, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, no, I didn't really, I didn't really want to hear, but at least it was only a little bit,
Yeah,
right? We only touched briefly.
and
Well, I think, fuck it, it's good, why not?
Yeah.
It might make someone, even if, someone says, who's these dickheads talking about politics, they don't know fuck all about it or whatever, but it's still might get people talking about it or whatever to
Sure.
fucking make a change, yeah.
And it's impossible not to. If you're talking about the differences, or if you're just talking about Jersey, how can you not talk about politics? Because everyone's going to start talking about how expensive it is, and then straight away you're talking about politics.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's mad, yeah. Because I'm passionate about Jersey, and I think you are as well. So it's, as you say, like I don't want to talk about politics. I feel a fraud talking about it because I don't know fuck all about it. And I think I said that, and it's true. It's like I feel like I want to talk about it, but like it's like I haven't even looked into it or like got even a little bit knowledgeable about it. So I shouldn't really be commenting on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like people that there are probably some people in Jersey that are involved in this work, and they're trying to make a change, and they're fucking pissing against the wind or whatever, and they're like, he's saying it's, you know, so
It's
like,
simple when
yeah,
it's not.
yeah. So
you did say that as well.
yeah,
which
so
that's a good point.
yeah.
Like, but again, like fundamentally, I think it's wanting change and actually like taking some action towards that is important.
Yeah.
Because like even during that conversation, my attitude was, I think Jersey's just set in its ways, and it just seems a bit prehistoric at times. Like whenever, yeah, it's like we seem to follow the rules of the UK
Yeah.
in whatever sense, but we just do it 5 years after.
Yeah.
You know, like we have our own government, our own independent state, but it's like we never seem to be able to make any decisions that really are innovative.
Yeah.
You know?
And maybe it's interesting, because as I say, I'm naive with it, and maybe it's so ingrained that it's a lost cause or whatever, and it could be because of the way things go. But I think also that it is the way it is because people accept that as well. And people are just like, I touched on it there. I said it's all I ever heard about the system and that and the way things are. It's like that's the way things are. Just accept it, and it's like bullshit. I was like, why? These rules and laws or whatever were created by people just like us.
Yeah.
So if they're shit and they're not working and people want to change and they want to make a better society, it's like I think it is simple in that sense because people think, I don't like it, but that's the way things are, so I better just deal with it.
Yeah.
But if enough people are like, well, no, humans no more intelligent than us created this system. It's not fucking working. It's broken. Let's fucking get together and make the system and that we fucking want.
Yeah.
So I don't see why that can't happen. And again, that's probably naive to say, but no, I don't think it is. I think it's naive for me to comment about politics and the situation at the minute and how ingrained it is. But it's not naive for me to say that if enough people got together, we could fucking change the system and change the laws.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think of the last time there was a petition made in Jersey, even one that got
that has an effect.
Yeah, and it actually was enforced.
Yeah.
You know, I can't actually think, but it'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, I said if we move to Jersey, we just need to close all bars and switch it to small studios.
I should move to Jersey and close all the bars with the drinking culture that we've got. How is she going to get on with that?
Dude, that's one of the biggest things, man, is the drinking culture.
I want to I want to do a video about gambling as well because I had an experience with that, and I know that is a huge thing, talking about mental health and about the drinking and also the gambling culture as well, and how that can. Because I don't know about you, because we're similar age, but there's a bit of a gap, maybe a couple of years. I think I'm 35, you're 33 or something.
31.
Oh, you're quite a 4-year gap or whatever. But I grew up with we were a young age, we were playing poker and stuff, 14, 15.
Right.
And I know with my circle and our people, there's always been a gambling aspect. So you can include that in with the drinking and the gambling, and it can have a big effect on your mental health, with the amount of bookies and stuff in Jersey as well. I think it's an interesting subject to talk about. I don't know, as I said, if you have experience with that as well.
Personally, I've almost never gambled. I don't really play poker.
Well, I'm jealous of that, mate.
Yeah, but I know a few lads. In fact, there was one lad I worked with recently, and he said he had a massive gambling problem, and I never knew.
Yeah.
And he was talking about it, and he was saying it's just not something you talk about because it's so easy just to pop into the bookies, spend $1,000, lose $1,000, and there's an element of shame attached to it, but it's you're kind of addicted.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult to pull yourself out of that.
Yeah. It's such an interesting subject as well. Yeah, with gambling, I think it's definitely a subject that probably needs to be talked about more in Jersey, because I think you hit the nail on the head there, literally. From my experience anyway, where people have this problem, but they don't talk about it. It's almost like normal, like drinking in Jersey.
Yeah.
It just goes hand in hand. I think with a lot of people, they're drinking and then they're going to the bookies, putting football bets on or gambling in the machines or whatever. And I think it can have such a big impact on your mental health.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I wanted to go into more depth in that, about that subject because I think it's interesting.
I don't know if I'm the best person to talk to about gambling, so I haven't really done much of it. But yeah,
Well, it's good to know that there are people in Jersey that didn't get into, because I didn't know anyone really that wasn't involved with poker or gambling. But obviously it depends on your circles and stuff and your friends, I guess. But all of my people, they're like.
It's so interesting. I would name drop, but there's a couple of lads from Jersey. One was a big time poker player, and he actually had to quit completely because he was winning a lot of money, but the lifestyle that came along with it was like you would just party. You would win big and then you would party. And I actually know a guy who I met him here, and he was like ranked in the top 100 in the world for poker. But yeah, he was like, I had to stop because he was like the lifestyle that came along with it. Same as my friend who lived here. He was like, everyone I was surrounded with were just they weren't going anywhere with their life. They're all just drinking loads, partying loads, and they were just like kind of irresponsible. You know, they had no real security or structure to their life because it was just a matter of like go and play poker. And then the lad that I was working with back home recently, he was like, I got into massive debt, almost broke up with his missus. He was like, I was fucking depressed. And I was like, holy fuck, I never knew that. And it was like large sums of money. I think it was like 60 grand in debt, 30 grand in debt. I was like, fuck. I've been in like a few grand debt before. That was recently. And that I couldn't deal with it. I mean, I imagine multiplying that by 10. So I don't gamble. I don't gamble. It's all very free. I'll occasionally place a bet, very, very occasionally, and that'll only be if
5 or something on a few teams or whatever.
Yeah, like a little accumulator.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Just get sucked in though. That's where it starts though. If you can have that mentality that you're just going to do it now and again and just put fivers on here and there. But the problem is one comes in for the fiver and you bet on 10 teams or whatever and you win a few grand. The buzz you get from that, it's like you want it again. And that's how it starts.
It's so addictive,
Yeah.
I think it's Paul Merson talks about it a lot.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of his stuff, but I know he's done a few interviews and stuff on it because he lost millions, right? He was proper mad on it.
He talks a lot about it very openly, but apparently his book's brilliant because I think it's very popular with footballers because they can't go out and party and stuff. It's like, what can they do that's like fun? It's like gamble.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. I haven't listened to any of that stuff, but I imagine because the buzz you get when you score a goal or whatever, there's something that just sprung to mind now. It's like, and then in normal day life, they may be looking for that buzz again. And if they have a big win, it makes sense to me now. Maybe I'm wrong, but if they have a big win, it maybe has a similar effect to scoring a big goal at Wembley or something in front of 90,000 people or something. And if they win like a huge bet, it almost gives them that feeling. And I think it's almost, again, I don't know because I've never been a professional footballer, but I imagine that's quite addictive. Addictive to score a goal. You want it and you want it, and that's why I think it makes sense because although I haven't been a professional footballer, I've been addicted to gambling, and I know the big buzz it can give you if you have a big win.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it. That would be why the footballers are drawn to gambling.
Yeah, it's the rush. I think even more so when they retire because they don't have that fix anymore. It's like they don't have that match day where they're playing in front of like 8,000 people. So it's like, where do they replace that? Oh, I'm just going to gamble half my savings.
Yeah.
I didn't actually record that, but hopefully the sound comes through alright on that.